And right now here live at 6:30, what a day it has been for American history. Hello, everybody, and thank you very much for joining us. Special edition of WHAS11 News at 6:30 tonight. I'm Doug Proffitt, and for the next 30 minutes, we're going to bring you nothing but local reaction to the bombshell news today, as our team has been all over Kentucky, and since the big announcement at 2 this afternoon, you know it by now, President Joe Biden, the president who has visited this state 3 times since 2021, is no longer running in the race for the White House. In his visits to Kentucky, he was always alongside Kentucky Governor Andy Bashear, who is now being talked about as one of the top possible picks for the vice presidential position. We're going to be diving into that tonight. We have reaction from people across town who learned the news while enjoying this Sunday outside today. Moments ago, I talked with former U.S. Congressman John Yarmuth. He posted on social media on Friday. Take a look at this. This again was Friday. Fasten your seatbelts and get out the bourbon. This may be the most consequential weekend in American political history.
Oh, no, of course not. But I was reading between the lines and understanding that there had to be a decision made very quickly, and I thought that this weekend would be probably when it would happen. But that was a lucky guess.
Where do you stand on Kamala Harris at the top of the? President Joe Biden has been a strong supporter of Kentucky in some of our most trying times. He first came here days after the deadly Western Kentucky tornadoes, walking alongside Kentucky Governor Andy Bashear. And then the president was back to Kentucky August 2023, visiting the areas devastated by the eastern Kentucky flooding. 37 people died. But in January of 2023, it was that amazing show of unity in Covington, Kentucky. Mitch McConnell joining Joe Biden and Andy Bashear to announce the country's major infrastructure deal that would also build a new bridge in northern Kentucky.
And Leader McConnell and I don't agree on everything. In fact, we disagree on a lot of things. But here's what matters. He's a man of his word. When he gives you his word, you can take it to the bank, you can count on it, and he's willing to find common ground to get things done for the country.
Now, if you've been following any of the national coverage today, you've already seen Kentucky Governor Andy Bashear's name mentioned often as a potential running mate if Kamala Harris is the eventual nominee. WHAS11 senior reporter Isaiah Kim Martinez covers the governor and has been making calls and talking to people today about what we know. What have you heard so far, Isaiah?
Well, Doug, when it comes to anything outside his duties in Frankfort, we know the governor keeps his circle relatively small. There are only a small handful of close advisors who are briefed on anything related to D.C. obligations. Nonetheless, just about every list of potential Democratic VP candidates you see, Andy Bashear is one of the names. This afternoon, ABC's Jonathan Karl reported Bashear is on a short list of possible running mates for Kamala Harris. Karl named Roy Cooper first, governor of swing state North Carolina. Then he named Bashear, describing him as a moderate Democrat who's been able to win in a deeply red state. He also mentioned Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro and Maryland Governor Wes Moore. And just in the last hour, I talked to former Louisville Congressman Mike Ward, asking if Harris could benefit from someone like Bashear on the ticket. Also, we have part of CNN's interview with Bashear back on July 2nd when he was asked about Vice President Harris.
If you look at the number of rural counties that he flipped from red to blue, that's a blueprint we can follow nationally. Kamala Harris needs help with the kind of voters that Andy Bashear has flipped from red back to blue.
I've got a good relationship with the vice president. She is a good person. I've been happy to work with her on a number of initiatives, including decriminalizing marijuana.
And Bashear's team releasing a statement following President Biden's announcement. In it, the governor says in part, quote, President Biden will be remembered as a consequential president. While his decision today could not have been easy, it is in the best interest of our country and our party. I want to thank him for his leadership, kindness, and for a successful presidency that got big, important things done. Doug?
So let's talk about Andy Bashear and the reality here. When I got off the phone with John Yarmuth just moments ago, who is an absolute fan of the Bashears, and he told me I love Andy Bashear, but he said in reality, I got to wonder what he would bring to a presidential ticket since we're not a crucial swing state in Kentucky.
It's interesting you bring that up. It's something that's talked about a lot, right? You would think you want a VP that does bring potentially votes with that candidate, right? You think of Pennsylvania or North Carolina, right? It's like, okay, well, maybe we can win that state. Doug, there's a lot of political experts out there who kind of say that's a bit of a myth. Unless you have extreme name recognition, like, say, a Joe Biden, you really don't bring those votes with you per se. Governor Bashear, we saw a poll that we've used in the past that 70% of the country still doesn't really know who he is. The thing that I believe that Governor Bashear would bring with him if he was tapped as a running mate is he has proven time and time again that he is able to withstand some of the pressures of a Republican-led state, a deeply red state, and has been able to show that he can still win in a red state, something that, of course, was mentioned just a bit ago. And I think that would play farther than the swing state argument.
Of course, we'll be looking for Andy Bashear out this week. It's going to be interesting what he says.
His schedule will be certainly interesting, and I'm sure the reporters will be looking for him this week.
All right, thank you, Isaiah. Well, immediately when the news broke, WHAS11 reporters were out around town, and WHAS11's Alexandra Goldberg, along with photojournalist Aspen Hester, talking to people about this political stunner.
But I cannot believe, it's like, wow. Like, who's, oh, Lord.
Just minutes after news broke, Biden dropping out, we headed to Shawnee Park. Tracy Browning said she was shocked when we told her. And now that Biden isn't the nominee, she said she's writing in her desired candidate.
For me, that line at the bottom that says other, I will put God. And I believe and trust God will be in control.
Others weren't as shocked.
But it does not surprise me that he dropped out of the race. I know it's been like a lot of speculation too on his age and his ability and his capabilities on him actually being the president.
And as Andy Bashear's name continues to float potential presidential or vice president lists, one voter said he'd like to see the Kentucky governor in Washington, but not now.
I would prefer him wait till like the next time around. This time around kind of feels a little rushed for me, you know, because he's like a superstar. And I think if you rush it, you might mess it up.
People still trying to wrap their heads around a truly historic moment in America. In Shawnee Park, Alexandra Goldberg, WHAS 11.